Today, on the second Sunday of Advent, we light the Bethlehem candle, and the reading comes from the first chapter of Matthew, beginning in verse 18. It says, "This is how the birth of Jesus the Messiah came about. His mother Mary was pledged to be married to Joseph, but before they came together, she was found to be pregnant through the Holy Spirit. Because Joseph, her husband, was faithful to the law and yet did not want to expose her to public disgrace, he had in mind to divorce her quietly. But after he had considered this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, 'Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus, because he will save his people from their sins.' All this took place to spoke what the Lord had said through the prophet," what we read last week in the prophecy candle. "The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel," which means God with us. When Joseph woke up, he did what the angel of the Lord had commanded him, and he took Mary home as his wife. But he did not consummate their marriage until she had given birth to a son, and he gave him the name Jesus." There can be no greater act of love than the act of the Creator entering his creation. The act of God looking down on his creation, his created, which is us, humanity, in love, and realizing that we needed rescue, and we needed salvation, and we needed hope, and peace, and love, and joy, all the things we celebrate at Advent. And so God wrapped himself in love in the form of a human and entered his creation, and he was called Emmanuel, meaning God with us, or Jesus, indicating that he will save his people from their sins. And today, on the second Sunday of Advent, we focus on love. Now, that's not the order that all churches are doing, because I messed up the order last Sunday, and none of you corrected me about it. Either A, because you don't know yourself, or B, because you're just very kind and loving. But I swapped love and peace. I didn't mean to. So, most churches today are talking about peace, and we're going to talk about love on the fourth Sunday of Advent. We're talking about love today, and we're going to talk about peace on the fourth Sunday of Advent. And I'll tell you why I left it the same. Well, I found out about it about midway through the week, and I said, I'm going to leave it the same, because what we're going to do today for the message, love best fits that theme. The quote you saw at the end of the video said that when we share love, we are sharing God. And what's the best way to do that? Like, when you think about this idea, like when we share love, we're sharing God. Well, what is the best way for God's people to do that? What's the best way for us to show love to a community? Or what's the best way for us to share God with a community? And I think the answer is, it's not through what we say. It's through what we do. The thing that Randy spoke about this morning is love in action. It's putting some kind of concrete, practical something around love. And it's messy work. And it's difficult work. And I mean, it's a whole lot easier just to say, we love everybody, and just to talk about it and just talk about love, rather than to go out and actually practice love. Because going out and practicing love requires us to do something. It requires us to, it's a whole lot easier just to sit and listen to a guy talk about love than it is to go out and practice love. It's a whole lot easier for me to stand on a stage and say, hey, we should all be loving, than to go out and actually practice love. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to go out and actually practice love. So a couple of months ago, we were talking about Advent. This is at a staff meeting. We were talking about Advent, and we were just talking about, like, how are we going to do this? How are we going to observe Advent? We knew we were going to light a candle, and we knew we were going to talk about Jesus and all those kinds of things. But is there anything we could do differently during this season that just kind of really infuses this idea into our congregation? And I believe it was Todd that said, I just feel like we need to shake things up a little bit. Like, I just feel, and Todd's always the guy. In staff meeting, Todd's always the guy that says shake things up, okay? So he's like, I just think, we just kind of get in the rut of doing the same thing every single Sunday. We need to, let's do something different again. Like, maybe it's time for another Be the Sermon type thing. And if you've been here for a while, you know what that was. The first one we ever did was around Christmas. And he's like, we hadn't done another one of those around Christmas. And that was, like 10 years ago or so? I don't know. And so we just kind of bouncing around. We said, yeah, but we don't want to do the same thing. I mean, Murray Hills doesn't do the same thing for too long. So is there a different way? Could we talk about different things to do? And so we came up with this idea, and I don't know how it's going to work, but we're fixing to try it. We came up with this idea called reverse contribution. And here's the way it works. So, and you guys are going to be the guinea pigs because we've never done this before, and we're going to give it a shot here today. But every Sunday when we come to church, we give. So every Sunday we pass those buckets around, or we put that text giving slide up on the screen, and we ask people to give. And the reason we ask people to give is exactly what Randy said. It furthers the kingdom. I mean, our giving makes it possible for us to hire pastors. It makes it possible for us to build ministry space like this. It makes it possible for us to start ministries like the one Randy's talking about. You know, that student ministry, children's ministry, all of that is funded through our giving. So we give every time we come to church. And every time we pass those buckets, or we used to be trays, and we drop something in there. But have you ever come to church and received money back from the church? I know we don't make change out of the collection plate because that would be inappropriate, right? But have you ever come to church and received money back? Well, if you haven't, you're going to today, because here's the plan. As you leave today, there's going to be people at every single door, and they've all got a wad of cash in their hands. Okay, and so as you leave, what we want to do is we want to give each person as you leave $10. And you can do this per family. So like it's $10 for every person who's here today, including our children who don't even know about this is going on. But like, so you just come up to whoever's there who's got this wad of cash in their hands. I've been nervous carrying this thing all morning. And they'll, you know, how many's in your family? Well, I got 3. Okay, well, here's $30. You know, we got 5 in our family. Okay, here's $50. Now don't fudge on who you got, how many you got in your family, because it's not your money. Here's the rules for the money. Every person's going to receive $10, and here's the rules. 3 simple rules for the money. Number 1, this is not yours. You didn't do nothing to earn it. You did nothing to deserve it. This is money that was given in previous Sundays to the church. And now the church is turning around and gifting this back. And this is, here's the second rule, this is seed money. Okay, so you don't spend this on yourself. Okay, you're going to spend this for somebody else. Actually, that was all part of the first rule. Here's the second rule. You got to spend it in the next 2 hours. Okay, so you're going to spend it right before nap time, before the Titans game. Well, Titans game, that was Thursday. Before any other football starts, before lunchtime, you're going to spend it in the next 2 hours. And I'll tell you where you're going to spend it in just a minute. And then the third rule is this. This is not enough. This is seed money, is all this is. This is seed money that we're hoping you will take and multiply. We're hoping that your family will get together. If you got a family of 5, okay, family, we got $50 and we're getting ready to go spend this money. What are we going to multiply it by? Or what are we going to add to it? You know, let's turn this $50 into $100 today, or let's turn this $50 into $150 today. And here's what we're going to do with it. So we had this idea of like, let's just hand out cash and send people shopping. But who are we going to support with it? And so we called, Rubel and I went and met a couple of weeks ago, or maybe it was longer than that, with the Boys and Girls Club. And we said, hey, and this is cool that Rick Fisher's here today because he used to be the CEO of Boys and Girls Club. So we said, hey, does anybody do Christmas presents for the Boys and Girls Club? And they said, yeah, we always do something like that. And I said, well, how do y'all do it? And they said, well, we just kind of piece it together. We just kind of, you know, business here and business here. I think last year we went to Farm Bureau and asked them if they would chip in and help us get it done. And we just kind of piece it together and make it happen. And we said, well, would you be interested in a church providing all of those presents for the Boys and Girls Club? And they're like, yes, that would be great. That would be amazing. That would be awesome. And they said, okay, well, we told them about the reverse contribution idea. This is what we're going to do. We're going to pass out money, blah, blah, blah. We're going to send people shopping. They're going to come back and get back to church. Went through the whole idea, and they said, okay, give us a couple weeks just to pull things together, and we'll let you know what we need. I said, okay, that sounds great. 2 weeks later, Pierre Covington, who took Rick's position, brought me a list of what they need at the Boys and Girls Club. And this is where it gets fun. There's 623 kids that they provide Christmas presents for. And what Pierre did, and I didn't know he was going to do it, he just did it. He sent a list home with every single one of the kids at the Boys and Girls Club, and he said, if you were going to give a gift to somebody your age, so they weren't asking for themselves, if you were going to give a gift to somebody your age, what would you give them? And he just had them list things. And so I said, all right, reverse contribution just turned into a God-sized vision. And I started getting worried about maybe I've overextended us and we've overpromised and all that kind of stuff. I don't think we have. But what we're going to do is we're going to provide all of these gifts for the Boys and Girls Club. And whatever we have left over, notice that language, right? Whatever we have left over is going to go to the Family Center to support their little Santa shop that they do when they go in and shop. And we haven't promised the Family Center anything, but we said that's where the extra gifts are going to go. So at every door, you're going to receive some cash, some seed money to get it going. And then you're also going to pick up a list. We've got one list for every kid in the Boys and Girls Club. So we got 623 lists that are printed for today. You guys obviously don't have to take all 600. You can leave a few for the second service. But you take as many lists as you want. You get one $10 bill and as many lists as you want. And on that list, you buy as many presents as you want on that list. Okay? So you can go absolutely stark raving crazy if you want to. We love that. All right? So that's what we're going to do. Now, if it's physically you're not able to do that today, you're not able to go shopping today, those kind of things, then you can donate your money back, and we'll send some folks shopping for you. But that's the plan. So we're going to give out money. We're going to give out shopping lists. We want you to go do it right now. The church is going to be open until 2 p.m. this afternoon. Bring it back to the student ministry room. When you bring it back to the student ministry room on Tuesday, we're going to have volunteers wrap those presents and put third grade boy, second grade girl, and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to deliver them to the Boys and Girls Club on Tuesday. So they're opening up doors right now. I'm going to go hand out cash with everybody else is going to hand out cash. So that's the plan. That's the sermon today. Go share love. Go share God. You're dismissed.